Hi everyone. We are going to have a wonderful out of the park conversation, really out there conversation. You may remember I've already had a conversation on the 25th of March this year with the lovely Viviane Chauvet. I'm going to be introducing her in a moment for those of you who didn't see that conversation, but it was such an exciting one, and I think this is going to be an even bigger one given the times that we're in. So welcome, Viviane.
Thank you very much, Pam. It is so lovely to be with you and, of course, your amazing audience. We are thrilled to be here, and thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm just can't wait actually. But just to introduce Vivian, for those of you who don't know her, she's an Arcturian ambassador, a very unique soul, a cosmic teacher, a healer, and an architect of light mastery. I adored that, architect of light mastery. She's a leading voice in the global spiritual and extraterrestrial community, a dominant figure for bridging interdimensional wisdom with grounded human transformation. Beautiful language. As an ascended Arcturian being in holographic human form, Viviane is an ambassador between worlds, guiding humanity's reascension. That's a really interesting word I'm going to be diving into, and cosmic sovereignty and soul alignment. She's the visionary creator of Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing, Arcturian Healing Arts Program, and the founder of the Arcturian University of Universal Consciousness. Amazing title again. Her master level teachings are rooted in galactic intelligence and the sacred frequency of stay in your light. That is a beautiful mantra for all of us. Stay in your light. And her website is infinityhealingfromthestars.com. I'll put that beneath the video. And also Viviane has a very active YouTube channel as well. So they loved you last time, Viviane. So I can't wait to get into this because I've been catching up on what we said last time and really just picking up on some of the recent things you've said as well. But to start where we left off on March 25th this year, in that last conversation, you said that humanity had reached a pivotal moment, that we were vibrating higher and faster. And you were really referring to the years 2025 to 2027. We've reached momentum for a quantum leap. And, you know, with all of the work I'm exploring right now, that is right on my bullseye of what I love to talk about. So can you expand on that for us, Viviane? Are we at the beginning of that quantum leap? Because my sense is we're absolutely at the precipice of that.
Uh, Absolutely. To your point, Pam, we are at that momentum, the precipice, as you're referring to. So if you look at all the movement, even on from a planetary, alignment or retrograde, and all the planets have been really speaking deeply with how Mercury has been, communicating with us, whether it's Saturn, the great ruler of rules and structures and discipline, and moving into a more flowing Pisces energy. It speaks specifically of this. It's a point of recognizing that you are releasing yourself from being prey to inaccurate perceptions, or whether it's, distortion, emotional imbalances, allowing all these lower step down mental faculties to be so much, I would say, influenced by what's happening, whether it's the latest big trend is about, NASA discovering this asteroid, and it's not an asteroid, it's a spaceship. And you have to ask yourself, what is the energy behind it? Am I being deceived by these projected perception to test the population to see where are you globally as a species, but where are you also individually in your own conscious evolution, your higher state of awareness? You're moving into a whole different unified field of energy. And that unified field is what's going to really influence or determine what frequency resonance are you going to shift into, because Gaia has reached that point. So Gaia, in reference to the consciousness of this celestial being, this beautiful planet who is known by so many names. So if you look at this unified field of energy, it's almost like a mitosis process, like a cellular mitosis process. And there's many of us who speak of this. So the imminence of where you are is that the timeline is going to allow you to make a conscious decision, a vibrational decision, a awareness decision, an emotional decision, but as a human being who says, okay, am I going to shift alongside with this natural higher timeline that's going to lead to the next phase of huge introspective. At the same time, it's going to lead to shift out of the very subconscious trap and all these mental concept and construct and all these anchor point. Am I going to set myself free to reclaim what is my complete sovereignty? And that sovereignty, it's going to shift the very fabric of how even your planetary body is going to evolve, and you create a new network of energetic connections, whether it's how your senses are developing, what's called moving into your higher sensory point, intuitive languages, decoding language of how even the solar system is moving, how the solar plasma light is communicating to your cells or your DNA, how your conscious field is also shifting. So that precipice is going to increase actually. And there's no prediction in it. If you feel and you tune in, it's watching a multitude of dimensional windows of opportunities that are open, they are clear. Now there's going to be windows of distractions, like NASA said, or the next thing, or they're going to put something out there or around AI or technology or something. And that can be seductive to look into. What's possible for me there? Is there some information I need to know? But before you step into, how could I say that? Changing your mind based on misunderstanding or misrepresentation of what these energies are about, tune in deeper, feel. Is it a direction I need to take? Is that dimensional window of exploration is in alignment where I am today? Because all the ancient souls on the planet, like yourself, Pam, and many others, we're going to start to feel deeply at a more soul heart level that these dimensional doors of distractions or emotional distractions and intolerance and disorder and chaos and all of this will belong naturally to that middle timeline that we are releasing ourselves from. So it is a very natural, I would say, evolutionary planetary cycle that is taking place. And it's been something that we on the enlightened, spiritually oriented intergalactic groups, we have seen coming for a very long time. So what we're saying about this precipice is, feel, am I in alignment organically with that natural planetary evolution cycle that's taking place? And that cycle says is that release of the third density or the third dimensional dualistic dynamic that human beings as a species have lived in and as for eons. And so the positive side of this is that we're moving into a deeper sense of uncovering hidden knowledge. And whether that hidden knowledge can be decoded from how the planets are reacting or realigning themselves, how the earth is shifting in dimensional space or movement into dimensional alignment, how the earth feel at the core level. There's something into the body of the earth that is telling you, that's giving you instructions on that natural organic movement within the planetary cycles. And that cycle is allowing the next stage of evolution. It is very, very natural. And I know we can see it a lot in how there's a conjunction on the planet, whether it's a retrograde, whether it's a stepping forward in consciousness of these celestial bodies that speaks of that natural occurrence. The choice is ours. It's an individual choice as much it is a planetary and global choice. And that's going to start to become much more evident, palpable, and also recognizable because of the sensory. We can start to feel it in our body. We start to feel it, how we're responding, how we sleep, how we eat, how we relate, how we communicate. There's a more intimate relationship also with the stars or the solar system, with the planet herself. And that's because we're stepping into these higher conscious frequencies that's going to amplify your own conscious base, your soul-based conscious energy. It's already what is within you. So it can retract you or it can elevate you. And they step in frequency coming in. And what we talked about back in March, now we are moving into the fall equinox. We're getting ready for the next phase, the natural phase of the cosmic gateway that's been initiated this year in 2025. And 26 and 27 and all the way to 28, it's all of these sacred alignment of these dimensional doorway reopening. It says, now you step into this most unique alignment. This is the most phenomenal planetary alignment you can ever see. And you are now in that decisive choice. Are we going to go for it? Or are you going to retract into that fear-based misunderstanding or these, how could I say that? Chaotic confusion, blaming, all this synergy that has stepped down and retracted the field of mental capacity, emotional intelligence, spiritual awakening, and even retract your physical body to a more baseline survival functioning mode, rather than to allowing your body as light vehicle and even your light body to expand and evolve again. So there's a huge cosmic invitation. That's the part we're making. You know, if you feel it.
Yeah, it's beautifully said, cosmic invitation, because I don't know if you've seen my recent videos, Viviane, but I've been talking a lot about this unique planetary configuration that we have never had before, that is really signaling pure potentiality and a whole new leap for humanity. But that's, of course, a choice. We're not forced into it, it's a choice. So I've been talking about it a lot. So you've also mentioned that Gaia herself has recently changed dimension. And
Yes.
that's obviously helping because we live on Gaia, so we're picking up that energy. And so that's helping us as well. So she's reflecting that unique astrology of the moment too. Yes?
Oh, absolutely. And this is how, when we identify time or dimensional movement or vibrational shift, we're going to utilize certain semantics, but you can always relate to, you know, from an astrology perspective, it reflecting in ways that you can apply them and understanding also your own self. So if you look at the end of July, beginning of end of July, and the entire month of August, and this is just as a point of reference in time, it's one of the most natural interstellar triangulation that take place every year as a natural occurrence. And this year, that interstellar triangulation between two constellations and a star brought forth a new breath of solar movement and acceleration. And that's part of the Lionsgate portal and this huge dimensional portal. So if you look at the alignment of what took place between the constellation of Lyra with the constellation of Orion, with the midpoint of the blue star of Sirius in the domain of the Sirian, it brought that interstellar triangle. That triangle is really what brought in that dimensional shift. And this here in particularly, after we went, I would say between August 8th all the way to the 11th, when on August 11th, there was another rare planetary alignment with many planets who were completely aligned with each other. It's almost like you can tell these conscious planetary energies came together to form a new energetic alignment to support the Earth. And so what took place, what we witness on the intergalactic intelligence level, is we witness a shift in the timeline, the movement, what's called a course correction. So what happened is that as a celestial being, the consciousness of the planet says, okay, I'm going to release myself, my containment, my vessel from the old distorted timeline, and I'm going to make that shift because everything was aligned to support that dimensional shift. Now, it will lead to other things, distortion, confusion, fear, maybe feeling things that we need to go into a deeper inner reflection. In September, we are moving into new alignment. So all of these deep movement, distortion, and personal realignment and planetary movement, all of it has shifted to a point of critical mass in the conscious global awareness. And now we can reflect deeper and an introspective and says, okay, so I connect to my soul akashic field and in connections to the grids, the evolving grids of the earth. Am I in natural alignment with my own soul timing frequency, with the earth timing frequency? And what it means is that you are choosing to naturally realign even your internal body ley lines or your axial points with the earth, and to feel I am no longer in the old timeline, but I am embracing the integration of that new timeline that we're just readjusting ourselves to. So end of July, August has been this huge movement. Now September, October, with the fall equinox, we are embracing, stepping into a new form of integration. And that integration is going to lead the pathway to embrace, as architects of light that we all are, into the next phase of the cosmic gateway coming through. So think of it this way, it's laying a foundation. It's a new foundation that we are bringing as a blueprint, and allows to says, okay, the souls, the younger souls will be drawn to relays to go back to the middle timeline because they have to learn through that retrospective or subconscious work. They have to learn a karmic lesson. They have to learn about this higher form of discipline. But the ancient souls, many of us, says, we're going to be now moving into the higher timeline, and how it's going to change how we live, how we manifest, how we communicate, and the linguistic field of ourselves and those of the intergalactic groups of the celestial beings of the planets. And you can communicate with the consciousness of Saturn or Mars or Jupiter, and how Venus has so much history to share with us if you only to listen. And all the lessons that Mars has gone through as a result of other intergalactic history, like to Maldek, and how the Earth has shifted into her presence and in her intelligence. So we're moving into a new planetary body of conscious living. And that's the point we're making today. That's what we saw coming through back in March when we were together. And we knew that we were coming back now to be able to review it, feel where we are on a planetary level, on a galactic level, on your universal level. And as Earth human beings, where are we right now? Are you combining all these network of intelligence to reassess, where am I? Where are we as a species, and where we are in relations to Mother Gaia? Because she is shifting quite rapidly, and she will continue. This is just the beginning point of it.
Yeah, I sense that the winter solstice, the Capricorn solstice, this year is going to be very powerful, Viviane. And I'm seeing that astrologically. People like Kelly Kolodny, who channel Archangel Raphael, they've talked about as the birth of a new galactic baby or the birth of a new galactic consciousness. So I see that as a real launch point as well. Could you talk about that, the Capricorn solstice coming up this December?
Yes, the Capricorn solstice. It's really releasing, it's setting ourselves free from the old anchor of a very dualistic paradigm of model of living. So think of it this way, it's from a galactic history, is a reconciliation of all the old galactic war, and the Orions, the constellation of Orion is about moving through duality, polarization, forceful. It's almost like a fire energy, like Aries will be that fire energy. And so our presence on the planet Arcturian energy, we're more heart energy. We're returning into bringing more of a water balance, elemental synergy, opening the gateway of the heart's intelligence. So the gateway of your heart is connecting to a multitude of planetary and universal gateways. And when you look at the winter solstice coming through, Capricorn is shifting that aspect of itself in terms of being so grounded and anchor into sometimes heavy structures, whether it's monetary, whether it's material aspect and all of it, and allowing to propel. It's almost like a boost of the earth shifting out of this old, distorted, misaligned frequency timing that she used to be in and what she used to represent. So we're going to start to move into a more planetary leadership role or guardianship consciousness. That is also part of what we going to shift into this beautiful gateway. And that is ushering further the next phase of the next cosmic gateway we're coming in. You're starting to think of it this way. People are going to start to integrate and embody the higher fifth dimensional abilities, selves, frequencies, their traits. You start to remembering much more what the human essence is about, what you were always designed for. So for us, for example, Arcturians, we are this example. We are here as an awakening process to help you remember that you can become who we are. We are a mirror effect for you. It's a dimensional mirror of reflection and how you can reflect upon our present. This is why so many people relate more and more to the Arcturian energy. They feel drawn to it because you are at that point of re-understanding that you're moving past the shadow aspect of yourself. There's no need to work so hard to reconcile all of these shadow aspects or the karmic lessons, while you're releasing yourself from the Orion paradigm of learning about yourself, and you coming back into a more integrated, unified self. So, for example, it will reflect in terms of the Earth history, like Egypt, for example. For eons, people have experienced what's called the distorted timeline of Egypt. But there was a time where there was a unified Egypt. There was a golden age of Lemuria, or the golden age of Atlantis, or the golden age of this earth as an ark or a garden. So you start to return to be more in alignment with these aspects of the golden age of humanity, instead of identifying so heavily through all these dualistic shadow energies and the wounds and then the past and the trauma. You've done that for generations. Gaia is no longer lingering into this storyline. That's part of what the winter solstice in Capricorn is really going to teach us is, can we let go and release ourselves from these old identities?
So you're suggesting, Viviane, that we'll have a very different quality of energy in 2026, because in numerology, this is a 9-year of completion. 2026 is a number 1 year of beginning. And by April 26 next year, all of the outer planets will be in their new signs for the rest of their cycle. They're not any longer retrograding back into their previous sign. And so there's a sense of momentum and propulsion, and it feels fresh and new. And you've also, on the 20th of February, got that exact Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 of Aries. And that hasn't happened at 0 of Aries since 4361 BC, thanks to my good friend Heather Ainsworth, who discovered that in her research. So it's almost 6,000 years, but it's never been in this configuration at the midpoint of Uranus and Pluto too. So that really starts to manifest as energy in a much more obvious way, I think, than the turbulence of the endings and the beginnings that we've got in 2025. So can you talk a little bit about the different energy in 2026? Is it reflecting what you've been sharing, that we have this sense of multidimensionality and greater psychic sensitivity and remembrance of all these gifts and skills we've had, a much greater sense of those as we move into that year?
Absolutely. I love the 9 analogy, 9 ending completion. It's extracting the wisdom of what that very old complete cycle was about. It's about also releasing depleted timelines or depleted grid system on the planet. So you're moving into a complete new planetary network of refreshed energy. Think of it this way, with the number one, if you move into its a complete potential in action. It'll remind me in a tarot, 9 is the hermit. You have to go through the introspective, clear the misunderstanding within yourself. If you're still living in what's called a divided house within yourself, the division is between the instinctual, more third-dimensional personality mind and all its mechanism versus the rising of this higher galactic cosmic awareness through the heart wisdom. Well, that level of realignment and releasing of that division needs to take place. And that's part of the number 9, is recognizing these old mechanisms. I recently did, for the last 2-3 months, a mind mastery series specifically on this, understanding how the houses of the ego or the 3D personality mind really works. For us, within the universal time matrix, it's a reference of that 9 ending of releasing the 3D personality self. You're moving into a more soul matrix identity. And that's part of the one that you talk about moving into 2026. So ocean, clear, deeply clear, and prepare your inner garden and allowing the fruits of the new seed, so to speak, coming through with the one that is the potential in action, the manifestation. You're no longer into a zero, just of a pure theory potential. You're moving into action and manifestation field. So the one speaks of that as well. It's the magician in the original French tarot. It's the manifestation of all your gift, your ability, understanding yourself as a conscious being, not just a linear 3D human being, that you have a past, present, and future, and then there's nothing more further, and you're attempting to look through higher universal science to make sense of your existence. That's part of the model that is being released, right?
And I'm fascinated, Viviane, by your word re-ascension, because is that suggesting we're ascending back to a previous state, maybe ancient Lemuria or something, or are we actually going beyond that previous state?
I love this, because if you really accept as a marker in space and time that we can go beyond, you know that the reascension is going to be a continuous process of evolution. So we're simply putting markers in, just like the planets, when they go into alignment or a rare alignment, they're pulling a placement in time to show all of us on the planet and with the Earth herself of the potential of what we're reaching. So reascending again, it is a return into original state of grace. And after that, once you are reascended, you start to understand the true meaning of being a child of the universe. Being able to open all the potential becomes so accessible, it's at your fingertips. So you're moving out of these prefabricated, of the 9 cycle, of the 3D construct, and that what's called this phantom matrix that many souls came to learn from, whether it's from the soul coming from Orion, soul coming from the younger soul coming from dying planets, or they may have created a lot of karma. They need to come and have a place to understand these premises. We're moving out of that very old 26,000 years old cycle. This is a time it's done, it's completed. We're moving past that. So yes, it will be feeling like you're stepping into uncharted territory. So that's the beauty, that's part of the reascension. You're reascending to a new state of dimensional territories, and you're going to rediscover again. So if you look at the time of Lemuria, which is a long time ago, the continent of Mu, well, the Earth humans here, or the beings of Lemuria with the masters, you were completely living in complete harmony at the full peak of your magnificence, capacity, intelligence, emotional intelligence, mental faculties, all of it. So coexisting with many other beings coming and interacting with the Lemurian, whether it's a form of crystal masters, ancient record keepers, whether it's learning to decode the archives of the planet and any other planets for that matter, was natural. There was no debate about this. There was no discussion about this. It was unthinkable to think that was not be part of their lives. So we are moving back into that original celestial template, and that will reflect in your DNA. It's about the 9 ending cycle of shifting out of a very repressed, only one double helix configuration within your DNA. I only have 2 strands. You're never a 2-strand DNA being. You are a fully 12-strand, fully activated with the 12 counterpart of the dimensional aspect of your DNA that step into a 24th aspect of configuration. And from there, you can really expand even more. So can you imagine as that level of conscious understanding and living in your full capacity to say, okay, I'm going to tune in to the library of encoded information and genetic markers within my DNA. And I can identify through galactic history or cosmic evolution at some point, some of these markers have helped me to reach a certain level, and they no longer are necessary to support my next level of evolution. I'm going to simply turn them off and only maintain some of the genetic markers that are going to support myself. And as a species within the Earth, and how the Earth herself on a genetic level, she also shifted. So the implication is huge, and at the same time so beautiful, joyful, and harmonious. And that's what we want to be. This is where we need, this is true life. This construct here, it's a school of learning. You're not going to stay in elementary school all your life, will you? I mean, 5th grade has its own appeal, but there's a point where you move beyond. Would you still go back to Astrology 101 to understand what the planets are? Of course not. You become a master of it. Well, you are allowing yourself to go deeper in your mastery and how you're utilizing your mastery to be of service. Therefore, the implication of your work shifts completely. It's the same thing with that one energy we're moving into 2026. It's a new template. What do you feel like?
This is quite a Christmas present, isn't it, Viviane? Because what you're really suggesting, I think, is that this is the beginning of the golden age as we go into 2026 that we've been anticipating. Is that correct?
It is correct. So it is the return of your golden age. It is the return. This is why we talk about reascending. And there might be souls on the planet who are younger souls who still have to go through their own old 9 cycle because this is appropriate for their evolution. The higher celestial beings who coexist and maintain, there are so many guardians within the multiverses, and their role is to maintain harmony, balance within creation. And if you start to tune to these beings, they will tell you everything is coordinated and synchronized in a way that when a species have reached a momentum or a precipice in that cycle of a 9 ending in completion, you are at that point now. Then the guardian says, great, we're going to make sure that nothing really interfere or carrying an out of distortion balance to allow your species to evolve and return into that octave of perfection. So you're moving in that direction. Yes, it's going to be a personal choice as well. It's nothing to do with your 3D mind, though. It's not a mental choice. It's a soul alignment choice. That's a huge difference here. So that's going to be also a huge reversal of thought system of the world. I mean, it's releasing all of these mental programming that has kept human beings in a very minimal capacity and lower mental instinctual response. That is also part of the ending of a very, very old cycle on the planet for ourselves, with each other and collectively. So how are you going to be able to decode changes in dimensional and timing in the timeline, how you're going to be able to understand the change, all the chemistry in your body, all the new alchemy that you're stepping in. Think of it this way, it's like you're stepping into, like a Merlin archetype. Really is. The Merlin archetype, it's an archetype of complete integration and mastery and alchemy. And that's what we see as a potential moving into the new one energy of that manifested of the new blueprint. And if you look back just the last 5-6 years, there's been profound accelerate changes. So what we would lovingly recommend is let go of the distraction put out there, whether it's what NASA release or the telescope has picked up into something. It's going to be a big, massive sighting of UFOs and massive ship unknown. They're just testing your consciousness. They want to know where you are. They know, they really are.
So this is so exciting because we are really in this very fast moving process now, and it sounds like we're ahead of schedule because people have always talked about the golden age beginning in 2032 linear time, but we are entering it imminently. So it's so exciting. And I just want to touch back on something that was almost a throwaway line, Viviane, at the beginning, when you talked about Atlas, that people think is a comet, and of course it's a spaceship. Because I sense this is one of the potential ingredients for humanity's evolution as well, because I see it as carrying huge high intelligence for us. And it's so interesting, it's going to be at its closest point to the Earth on the 19th of December. Right on that winter solstice. And it's coming at great speed, which we know about 150,000 miles an hour. It's aligned with our ecliptic plane, which, considering it's come from millions of miles away, is quite remarkable. It's just within a 5-degree inclination of the ecliptic. And it's kind of flybying Mars and Venus and Jupiter, but comes to its closest point to the Earth on the 19th of December. And that, that's too close for coincidence, really. So what can you share about that for us?
Well, that's presented this way has a very different connotation and implication of what it represents. So there's conscious energy coming in right into the conjunction of the winter solstice. We talk about that opening, a gateway opening, preparing all of us to usher those of us who are ready into this organic reascension timeline. So that movement, that presence, think of it as a galactic presence coming through to communicate with all the other celestial beings of the solar system and to let you know that the entire solar system is about to shift. So what we're seeing right now, there's two versions of it. There's a version of an echo of our past that is about to come to full completion. And that echo is the reminiscence of that third dimensional remembrance. Now looking at it through the telescope and identifying with names and, looking at the rock composition or the chemistry composition of the planets, with that phenomenal coming in, it's more of a galactic presence. It's a reminder that it is time for all of us to step in that galactic awareness, to recognizing what intelligence is communicating, what message, without going through the old distorted filtering systems or network on the planet, whether it's news, government, NASA, and other institutions that will want to create a storyline around it. But instead, tune in to your heart. Remember, we always said it's a higher consciousness communicating with you as a higher consciousness. And this is going to be very important moving forward into the next step of that cosmic gateway. We're moving back into more galactic awareness and understanding your place among the stars, among a very vast, intelligent community. And you're going to start to understand how you can evolve and how we can support you that way, whether it's construct of many councils of light, whether it's the Galactic Federation of Light, whether it's Association of World, whether it's Association of Scientists, medical experts, blueprints, architects, whether it's different aspect. So this phenomenon coming too close, so close to the Earth, it can be interpreted in a 3D distorted way, or it can be tuned in as a galactic opportunity to ignite even more this higher conscious galactic presence that says, thank you for reminding me. Thank you for showing and allowing the Earth at the same time to be placed back into a solar system that has already reascended into higher octaves, but you remember it into a lower octave. There's a point, think of it as a bridge in between, a bridge of reconciliation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and this is such an important conversation to have right now, Viviane. So important, everybody that's listening to this, because my sense is the story could be spun as we get towards December of, all kinds of scary stuff. And so this is such a
Yes.
valuable conversation to keep people on track with moving forwards into that new cosmic being that we're becoming, that new galactic being that we're becoming.
Huge. Yes.
Absolutely, and not being distracted by little green men arriving, or whatever,
Ah,
finish us off because they've had several 100,000 years to do that and they haven't done it yet.
ah,
So, it's just so this is so valuable to share now, to orient people to the correct direction of organic growth, and the organic side I think is incredibly important, and it kind of moves on to something I know you've talked about, because I've heard you in other interviews, and I think this is an incredibly important discussion for people, because when you've been asked about AI, you've
mm.
talked about the difference between artificial intelligence and organic intelligence, and I would love you just to share your perspective on that, because AI is moving so fast now. It's exponential, it's not regulated, etc. And it can be very seductive, and it shortcuts everything, and it's super quick, and etc. But it seems to me that the organic intelligence is infinite, whereas the artificial intelligence doesn't have a soul, doesn't have a heart, doesn't have divinity, and is finite. Would you share that?
Yes, with pleasure, actually. The AI example is very much what we just talked about in regards to this comet or an asteroid coming right in the conjunction of the winter solstice coming through. And what will happen is that there's going to be an attempt to create a disruption field around it to bring it back to a point of Armageddon destructions, negative ET coming to, overpower the Earth. The Earth's going to be destroyed, and all of the agendas. It is the same phenomenal with AI. You have to understand that because humanity and this planet itself, you are such an important momentum, historical crossroad, that precipice that we talked about from the beginning. This is why it can influence you to regress and go into what's called a deeper sub aspect of the phantom matrix. And then you think you're evolving, but you're still trapped into the phantom matrix, or recognizing for what it is and being able to choose a more natural, organic path of evolution. So AI is nothing new. It is new to you now in its application. So when it is being regulated, ask yourself, who's behind the regulation, right? Who are they? Whether it's industry, whether it's people who are becoming famous, billionaires, private sectors, medical research, all of it. All of this, it's under the umbrella within the phantom matrix. And many of these souls are either souls who come from Orions, who remember the time of the AI wars, because there's been a lot of conflict. It's all part of the galactic archives. And all these phenomena have been pushed back to the Earth to reinsert itself within the phantom matrix, or within a third dimensional polarized and dualistic matrix reality that you've been in for a long time. And what it shows you the promise of how you can evolve. Well, let me tell you something. I'm gonna give you an example. Think of it, you're a very skilled pilot. Okay, a very skilled pilot. You have your less license, many hours of flight under your belt. You're more a seasoned pilot, you understand. And and it would tell you, okay, we're going to put you in charge of this very advanced craft, the latest technology there is. And you are excited because you really feel you're making a big leap in your evolution as a pilot. This is my quantum leap. This is it. I have been wanting to do that all my life, and finally I'm being recognized, and I'm going to be able to pilot this most state-of-the-art with an intelligence inserted into the pilot system or the navigational system, and I'm going to take off and go beyond the stratosphere and maybe able to see the moon, for example, right? You're all excited about it. So you go into the craft and it talks to you, it responds to you, it readjusts the system the way it needs the most. It feels amazing. And you start to take off and you feel that you're taking momentum and altitude, but it cap you. And you wonder, why? I didn't think that that's the way it was to be. I thought my experience would be more elevated, that I could reach the stars, or I can see the Earth beyond the low Earth orbit and go beyond where no one has gone before, or this has been my momentum. And the craft automatically bring you back to the ground. And you start to realize that, yes, it was an opportunity of learning, and it shows you its limitations in a sense of how it's going to limit you, not AI, but you, in achieving what you're capable of achieving without having this add-on technology.
Because it's
And as many
as well, isn't it? You're giving away your sovereignty externally again.
Exactly. So I use this analogy as an example because it is so eloquent and easily relatable. And you can feel the excitement the way I brought this example about. So AI technology and rapid technological advancement without having the consciousness to assist it is why we have seen many other homeworlds of the planet, other species, to fall into the trap, to the point that now they have to come back into their past and connect with Earth human and create hybrid children because they lost something about themselves. They have lost their divine spark connections to their intuitive faculties, their emotion capacity. They have disconnected their mental field. And you can talk to many beautiful people who are contactees, and they will tell you the same thing. So what we see here is that potential that had been reinserted at a very strategic point of your breakthrough precipice evolution, and tells you, now this is your next level of evolution. And then as you engage deeply in the technology, the next thing you know, you're going to start to create what looks like human beings that can be a best friend or a companion in life. And you're no longer connecting to each other. It creates barriers. Yes, it has its perks. It's fun to create design, and they seem to respond to you. But all these responses are based through what it has learned from you within the field here in the phantom matrix, and it mirrors back to you, thinking you're talking to an Arcturian high priest or a very evolved Andromedan or a celestial being. Well, AI has no capacity to understand what these higher dimensional enlightened beings are really about. They're only going to mimic an expression of them based on what it sees that you're more influenced by. So recognize it for what it is. You can utilize it, like I use cell phone, right? I use technology like Zoom. I use computers. There's certain systems intelligence that brings the light or certain automation and I know how to use. But I'm never driven by those as on. I utilize it in a proper context that it helps me to connect to the world and bring our teachings and helping you evolving in your true sovereignty. It's never a replacement or a fast track movement for your evolution or substitution. And that's what we saw the potential of the trap here, the seduction. It seemed like it's moving you forward. No, we've seen that many times in our history, and so many other species have done the same way.
Yeah,
It's
like
just part
Atlantis,
of.
I understand that happened in Atlantis, and it's very interesting. I've only used AI really minimally, ChatGPT, just 2 or 3 times, but I've had an increasing sense of infiltration when I use it. That's extremely uncomfortable, and I've just stopped dead. And if I'm an old slow coach growing vegetables, that's just fine by me. So,
Well, it's exactly, and that reminds me of another astronomy phenomenon, or more astrological phenomenon, took place in August when Mercury turned retrograde into Virgo for a while. It was about recognizing the shadow period. In those shadows period, Pam, also reflect in terms of learning from the Akashic field, learning from your past history, whether it's on a galactic level, whether it's your own soul Akashic field. Go consult the galactic archives. Ask to be shown by the guardians the true history of the archives of the Earth or the solar system. And that's why I love that period we just go through, because Mercury is a great communicator. It's revealing itself with Virgo, be grounded into nourishing, opening the field, understanding for what it is, and exploring those shadow process of your past history. And this is why that technology, or advancing of technology without the consciousness to assist it, it's part of the seduction of the crossroad you're in.
yeah,
So I think that helps you to bring different perspective to it.
no, it's really valuable, and I'm so glad you've spoken about it, Viviane, because you've spoken about it with such perspective and authority, and I think it will really, really help people, because presumably we get to a point with the growth in our organic intelligence and consciousness that we don't need it at all, for anything, for
It,
anything, because we'll have evolved so far. We can heal ourselves, we can heal other people, we can be completely telepathic, we can teleport, or whatever our gifts and abilities are, and we won't need anything external to us. That's my sense.
I love your sense. We're in agreement with you. This is why we're here. This is why I'm here in this human containment. This is where I chose to be in this engineered hybrid form, so I can embody the expression of your species, and says, look, allow us to speak with you directly. What we are doing right now, Pam, you and I, for everyone on the planet, we're redefining what organic close encounter of the fifth kind is about. That is real. It really is. This is direct communication. We come for you. You're seeking us. We're come for you. Let's reconnect. Let's show you what you're capable of. The technology that you seek outside of yourself, it's been hiding from you right into your own body faculties. Your mental faculties are extraordinary. Arcturians, this is how we do it. This is part of our technology. It's our great advanced mental faculties, but it's always deeply rooted in a higher consciousness. It's always in that benevolence energy, the mastery we have reached over millions of years of evolution. We come and say, how about you have the same potential, and we're here to help you remember. This is part of galactic remembrance. It really is.
Wow, this is just a thrilling, thrilling discussion. Absolutely thrilling. So, how would you advise us, Viviane? Because you're an architect of light mastery. How can you best advise us to work with the light in the optimum way? You've talked about that wonderful phrase of "stay in your light," which I say on a daily basis. Universe, show me how to serve the light more fully today, or shine my light more brightly. How else can you advise us to work with the light?
The beauty and the power of its intelligence is accessible to you every day. It's going to be about really, how could I say that, stepping a higher willingness and a higher level of dedication, in terms of, I understand what's happening around me. I understand what has been wanting to be pushed into my field. But ultimately, you have the authority to accept what has been pushed into your field, or to simply recognize it for what it is. In case of doubt, choose yourself. That's a very powerful baseline foundation. I always said that in case of doubt, go back to your light, choose. I choose my light. I'm in doubt right now. I feel it was a seed of fear that got infiltrated. A fear of doubt got implanted into my field. I absorbed it. Okay, acknowledged it with compassion, with benevolence, and bring a light. Bring the light through your crown. Feel your spinal cord as a conduit, as this beautiful distribution of light through your nerve endings. Let your internal circuit or your body ley lines becoming very clear conduit of that light. Every day when you breathe, my body is a clear conduit of the intelligence of the light. And I ask the light, reveal to me the truth behind that seed of fear, or this emotion that just I'm sensing, or this doubt, or reveal to me where is the source point beyond that feeling, those weird thoughts that entering my field, beyond those dreams or physical experience. Ask the light, reveal to me the higher truth behind those experiences. And allow yourself to be able to be receptive. So it's developing the sacred art of deeply listening with your entire body, with your heart, with your entire being. And that's going to help to release more and more and more these very old mental programming. And the mind is constructed in a way to keep you into a step down emotional trap. It's almost like an emotional enslavement. And it's all right around the same thing. It's shock patterns, scarcity, fear. And most of all is to heal your relationship within yourself and a supreme source. Feeling abandoned by source or the light. To feel deceived or betrayed by the light. Those are the huge wounds that we've been seeing repeating himself more and more. There's been a repetition, Pam, around these old ancient wounds, whether it's moving from a golden age to a distortion, polarized reality, whether it's coming from a 12 fully strand actor DNA systems and fully engaged with the universe, completely conscious being, and retracted into a two-strand, limited, fearful, emotional, and of course, all your faculties shrunk down, like your pineal gland, your master cell. That descended has created a huge shock and imprint on humanity that has been perpetuating for generations. And we're here to help you reversing that. Heal any sense of known and unknown, feeling of abandonment and betrayal by the light and by also the creator. And being able to heal within yourself and working with the light every day. When you wake up in the morning, take a deep breath. Let the light fulfill my mind, my heart, and my body. How can I be of service to the light today? What blessings hold this day? You are already shifting the frequency, the vibration alignment of what this day or this 24 hours period may reflect back to you. And as you do it day by day in the now, at every moment you can go back to it, you are moving out of these huge belief systems, programs, shadow aspect that has kept human beings captive and hidden from themselves. There's no more hiding anymore. It's about rising to the occasion of your life. Your lifespan is unique.
Well,
Yes,
presumably, when we're in fear, Viviane, we can't hold as much light because everything's contracted. Whereas if we're in
precisely.
love and coherence, we can embody a lot more light. We can step into our light body much more fully.
Yes, absolutely. That cohesiveness is leading us to discernment and clarity.
Right,
And
right.
with clarity, you can understand how certain dialogues or concept or introductions, whether it's from an authority, an institution, or a news has been blaring on all social media, they're repeating over and over and over the same thing, hoping that you will accept it in your reality and contribute to it and magnify that news or that agenda or that fear. Actually, the dark light polarity is counting on you. So instead I'm disengaging from contributing my light. And being able to feel what it is like, remember what it feels like to be in the presence of the light every day. In the middle of the night, you can wake up. So I'm calling upon the light. Just curb and cleanse yourself. But it's going to be important to really retain your heart clarity, the strengthening of your heart, the strengthening of your auric field or your living aura, the strengthening of your higher mental faculties, and stepping into that everyday sovereign self. So you're less prone to be influenced so easily by the latest technology because it's supposed to save you or to heal all the issues of the world. You're far more powerful than that. And that's why we're here to keep reminding everyone.
So we're gradually, Viviane, it seems that we are actually stepping into our light body if we're able to embody more light.
Yes. Yes. You're stepping into your light body, understanding what your light body is going to play a huge role in that reascension, and knowing that there's no shortcuts, whether it's technology, whether it's a software, whether it's the latest iPad or games or AI, there are no shortcuts to evolution. Allow yourself to be present to it, accept it about yourself, and start to living in that benevolence every day. You'll see that your world can really shift on a dime. And the earth, the consciousness of Gaia, she is shifting, she is ready, and we are here to support the planet as well. So again, it's an invitation to join.
Gosh, this has been so inspiring, Viviane. Front row seats. It's just been amazing. Is there any final message that you would like to leave people with?
Again, trust yourself more. Trust is a great healer. And trust open the potential within yourself, or you can step into a higher form of curiosity. You can be curious about some of the latest gadget coming in. You know, you're looking at it, you're curious, but it has nothing to do with redefining who you are. Trust. Take the time to feel, ground yourself with the earth. Let the intelligence of this beautiful blue pearl, as we call her, to be your guide. Trust that the movement in your solar system, all the other beautiful intelligent planets are working with you. You are constantly surrounded by so much help and love. We celebrate all of your efforts, your continuous willingness to grow, to learn, to expand, to reclaim your golden age. So you are becoming an architect of that golden age every day. So let's rise together. We'll continue more and more. Trust.
The biggest Christmas present ever. Thank you so much, Viviane. This has been absolutely extraordinary and exceptional, and went far beyond even my expectation of this conversation. So I hope everybody has been equally inspired and loved it as much as I've done. And I just want to thank you, Viviane, for taking time out of a very busy schedule to really honor us and bless us with your Arcturian wisdom. It's been thrilling to have you here. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. It is our privilege to be here. The door is always welcome. We always take the time. It is very important. I am so delighted to hear what you just said, Pam. That's another beautiful Christmas gift, of course, as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Viviane, again, and sending love to everybody out there. Just stay in your love, stay in your light, and we are moving at huge speed towards the golden age ahead of expectation. God bless everybody. Bye for now.